I'm a retired police officer. I served on the road for 31 years. I was a correctional officer before that, and I would say had a fair amount of work experience prior to that. So my point is, I had some life experience when I arrived at policing. I was the first female police officer in my small town police service, and there were challenges associated with that. I'm like anybody else who joined policing. I joined thinking I can make a difference and wanting to make a difference, wanting to serve the community, wanting to make the world a better place, wanting to serve victims and vulnerable people, and put away bad guys, make a difference. About 10 years in, after my second child, I started to experience some mental health issues. I didn't recognize it at the time. It started with sleep disturbances, wasn't sleeping well. I was a lot more anxious, didn't recognize it as anxiety, more tearful. I just struggled more. And part of that was that I wasn't sleeping well, the cumulative value of that. And part of it was that I'd had some grief and losses. And when I was pregnant with my second child, my mother passed away. It wasn't totally unexpected, but the timing was awful in the sense that I actually had to be under the care of a high risk specialist for both my pregnancies. So there was a huge concern about miscarrying. So I didn't feel I was able to process and be in and do all the things I needed to do that maybe the rituals would usually help us process that. And then once I had the child, it really wasn't the time to break down and cry either. So there was a number of things going on. And on top of that, there was the everyday toxic soup that we live in, and we think we're fine and we'll just keep soldiering on. Work was difficult at times. There was an ongoing problem with management that affects everybody because it's a very tough job to do. So in any event, I got to the point where I just wasn't coping well at work. There was times I was driving into work and wondering what business I'd even driving around carrying a gun, being a police officer. But like anybody, you feel like you have a sense of service. You feel like you got to show up for the other people you're working with. The show must go on. You've got a spouse, you've got children. You don't really feel like it's an option to take care of yourself. And I guess we don't want to recognize how unwell we're becoming. And I was starting to cry more at work, not in front of people. I was definitely panicking when I was dispatched somewhere, not about what I would do when I got there, but to be quite honest, I was having difficulty remembering how to get there. I was starting to clamp down with the anxiety. So time went on. That started in 2000, and in 2013, I had a physical injury. I actually fell and broke my ankle. And while I was off dealing with that, I thought, oh, good, I'll take this time and I'll get myself all better. And, I'll go back to work and everything will be fine. And 4 months went by and I wasn't better. And through the help of a doctor, my doctor, who was amazing, I went off on short term. And short term came and went, and I still wasn't better. In fact, I was in awe of just what a mess I was and how messed up I was. So I had to step back, and stepping back doesn't mean falling down and never getting back up again. It's stepping back, and I had to acknowledge that I needed help. And I went to see a psychologist. Eventually, I got on medication. Did some things for myself like meditation and getting out in nature. And like the whole time, I was shocked because I've always been somebody that has exercised regularly, had good friends, sought counseling when I needed it. I just couldn't believe what a mess I was. And I guess that's what's happened when you're busy with the job of being a spouse, being a parent, being a child to your parent, doing the job. But I did step back, and I was off for 2 years and 4 months with a lot of work on my part and acknowledging that I wasn't in great shape. And yes, letting others help me. Listening to my husband who said, take a step back. I've got this. Look after yourself. But through working on myself and trusting those around me that I would get better, I eventually returned to work, and I spent 5 years on the road of service to the public. Once again, I was surprised that when I came back, there'd been a number of people that had gone off sick while I was off, people I didn't realize were struggling, because we don't recognize that in our officers. We're all caught up in our own world and trying to perform. And I was actually able to help a number of officers that were really struggling at the time I returned to work. I was able to be an example, able to give them guidance, support, and to help them look after themselves. Because if you're an officer's family, you recognize that those that don't get help can often lead to tragic outcomes. The reality is you can get better, you can get back up, you can be better and stronger for it. And aside from helping my fellow officers, I feel I became a resource for my management to help with others that were struggling also.